All right, so we learned about supply. We learned about our nice mnemonic, upward sloping supply. It's got upright in the name. We went back, learned about the downward sloping supply mnemonic. They both start with D. We know there's a distinction, just like with demand, between the supply, the quantity supplied, and the amount of goods supplied. The quantity supplied is the amount of goods supplied at a given price. So we talk about supply generally, uncaring about prices. We don't have to be specific about prices. When we talk about quantity supplied, we have to be specific about prices. The law of supply is shown in this graph by the upward slope because higher prices lead to higher quantity supplied. Okay, just recapping there because the previous recording got cut off. All right, let's put it all together. Equilibrium, this is the combination when there is no pressure from producers, no pressure from consumers, so we've got a downward sloping demand curve. We've got an upward sloping supply curve. And now before we cheat and go to where X marks the spot, let's just talk a little bit about what if the price were higher. So what would happen if the price was up here? We'll call this P high. Well, if a price was up here at this particular price, to figure out what consumers are doing, we go over to demand and we reflect it off of demand. And so at this particular price, we end up with a quantity demanded that's right here. At this particular price, we reflect that price off of the supply curve. And when we find out the amount associated with that supply curve, we label that our quantity supplied. So when the price is above where X marks the spot or the equilibrium, we find that our quantity demanded is insufficient to cover the amount of stuff that's being produced, right? So this situation of excess supply is also called a what? A surplus. A surplus. And so firms, seeing that they are not selling as many as they would like, seeing that they have to store and manage all this extra inventory, right? That inventory costs money, plus sometimes inventory has obsolescence, right? Even if it's not fruit or something like that that's non-durable, if you put a bunch of DVD players away in a warehouse, in 3 years nobody's going to want them, right? Same thing with like Blu-ray players right now. Everybody, So this extra stuff, the producers seeing this are going to lower the price. So they're going to lower the price until they find that equilibrium price, which we denote as P star. And Q star. Questions on surplus and why surpluses lead to equilibria. All right. What if the price were too low? What if the price were too low? Well, if the price was too low, then when we reflect this price off of our supply curve, we get a quantity supplied down here. And when we reflect it off our demand curve, we get a quantity demanded up here. So this is a situation of excess demand. What else can we call a situation of excess demand? Shortage. A shortage. Very good. Yeah. A lot of us probably experience shortages because it was impossible to get a game console for a few years there, right? There was a shortage of PlayStation and Xboxes, the latest generation. More so PlayStation than Xbox, but there was a general shortage of next-gen consoles for a while there. Now, what those companies did not do is they did not increase the price, right? Now, why didn't they increase the price? Microsoft actually loses money every Xbox that it sells. So why are they not recouping all that money? Why didn't they just increase the price?
So that they can maintain their market share and so that they can make more money off of the licensing agreements rather than the actual selling of the console. It's razor blades.
Exactly. So they can make money off of the licensing agreements because that's where they make more money than actually from the hardware, right? And that first bit of hardware is what we call a loss leader. It's the first sale that you make to a new customer. You lose money on it, but if you do it right, you end up getting a customer that has a high lifetime value and has a high annual sales churn. So they didn't increase because it's part of their business is to price these things low and to make the money on the games and the licensing agreement with the games. And so what ended up happening was there was a lot of reselling, right? You know, you could go on eBay and you could get a PlayStation for like $800 or something, even though they retail for $350, right? Now, that's the exception of the rule. Let's say we went back to the gasoline market. If this was the situation and gas stations were running out of gas within hours of opening, the gas station owners would go and they would send somebody to correct those signs and increase the price. And they would increase the price until, and there might be multiple situations of increasing it, right? They might increase it here and then go, oh, there's still a shortage. So they increase it until they get to that point where everything that is consumed, everything that's demanded is provided, and everything that is provided is consumed. So in a shortage, there's a natural bidding up of the price because businesses are seeing money that they're, leaving on the table. And so they increase the price until they get to a point where, and again, I know I'm kind of stressing this a lot, but this point right here is important because it's the point where everything that's supplied is demanded. And it's also the point where everything that people demand is provided. So these things, both of these things, have to be there for this equilibrium to exist. Questions on equilibrium?